So I'm going to read this drawing now. This drawing is a sequel to the other drawing that I did prior, that I did a reading for. I'll put the link to that in the bottom of this. So it's almost a typical Adam and Eve type story in a certain way. But it isn't at the same time. Similar to the other drawing, there's a naked woman sitting, but this time she's not cross-legged. This time she's partially kneeling, leaning to her left side with her right leg stretched out. And she's sitting in such a way that her back is craned and her head is stiffly back, as if her back is in a certain amount of pain. And you can sort of see that her back does have a concave line to it that is sort of unnatural. And her left arm also appears somewhat unnatural, except that because it's sort of straight up from the shoulder, and then her forearm is directly parallel to her chest, and then her hand, her left hand, her index finger, ring finger, and middle finger are touching the snake. And her right hand is reaching up to the sun and pulling rays out of the sun. She's sitting in water of an interesting looking little pond that's perfectly fits her, but it's sort of a cliff. There's no land around the back of it, and there are some rocks in the front. There's no greenery growing. It's kind of gray. The tree on her left is a youngish tree. It's probably a 30-year-old tree or so. It might be the same age as she, therefore the tree might be her age in the summertime. It's a summertime because it's got leaves on it and fruit, so it's sort of the end of the summer. The sun is in the upper right-hand corner, which is correct placement for the sun as the symbol of manifestation and the masculine principle. And the tree is going to be considered the feminine principle, as it is on the left side, the receptive. And in the tree we have one apple that's cut in half, revealing the pentagram seeds. And then below it, there's an apple in its entirety. And in the middle is the snake. And it appears to be like a diamondback rattlesnake because it does have an orange rattle on the end of its tail and diamonds. And it's sort of headed for her neck, appears. But she's not disturbed by that. The other interesting thing is that the light source of the sun has no effect on her. She is responding to another light source, as the whole left side of her body is illuminated and the right side is in shadow of her hair, and the sun is on the right, so the sun is having no effect on her. So what I see about this is that once again the feminine principle is wrongly placed in the masculine side. So, and it's getting to the point where it's a warning that she's over striving to manifest. She's not a manifester, she's a receiver, but she is overly striving to manifest by using her will, her right hand, to pull rays out of the sun. The apple on the left that's cut in half is revealing the true nature that we should be striving for, since humans are from nature. The pentagram symbol, or the pentacle symbol, the five-pointed star, when it is upright, means that the spirit rules over the senses: air, fire, water, and earth. Air being the mental, water being the emotional and the intuition, fire being the passions, and earth being the physical, like finance. That it should all be passed through the care center and be ruled by the higher ideals, not the reverse pentagram, the one that's symbolic of Satanism, drives the spirit into the ground and allows the senses to and the desires to rule without care, which leads to many problems for many people because it's completely selfish and causes harm to others. So that's the warning of this is to keep the desires in check, which she's completely, she can't do it. She can't, because she's totally forcing her will. And having another light source other than the sun is also interesting. It kind of means like the other light source would be like self-will, or the desires of the base is what is illuminating her left side. And the snake represents transformation, a need for transformation. Because the snake sheds its skin. It's basically saying, you better review or you're going to get bitten. The other apple, the apple below the apple that's cut in half, represents the intellect, as it's referencing the Adam and Eve story. Basically, the Adam and Eve story talks about a time when humans were satisfied with living here and had no fear, and then something happened to them, and the intellect was delineated in the mind and brought about fear, shame, guilt, and intellectual curiosity, which brings lots of problems. I mean, of course, an intellectual is going to disagree with me about this, but in my point of view, animals have it really good because they don't think about how they have to destroy their environment, or they don't even have to change their environment much. They can adapt to their environment because they have fur, they have teeth, sharp teeth, a lot of them. Humans are constantly making stuff up about what to be afraid of and how to protect themselves from false fears that they invent in their intellect. So to me, the intellect is a detriment. And that's kind of what this is saying, because it's like with the intellect, since we have this handicap of the intellect now, we even more have to place spirit first and prayerfully seek higher knowledge to know what our actions should be. So here she is. She's basically harming herself physically by believing her intellect that she has to be masculine, when the feminine, she's sitting in the water, the womb water, which is too shallow for her at this point. I mean, it's really a warning to me. This whole thing is a warning that we have to be restored to balance. And I can take this on a personal level. I can look in my own life and see where I need to be transformed so that I can be in a state of balance in my environment, and also for the environment. And what is really important? Is physically manifesting really important, or is family and relationships more important? The other thing I would say about this is that the rocks, there's no greenery besides the tree, which would suggest that it's an unsustainable environment, even for the tree itself. This woman has to get to where the sun is her light source once again, and where there's abundant life all around, or eventually this is going to cripple her.